I watched a lot of cartoons as a kid, obviously, and I saw the commercial for the figurines, and the one I remember the most was the $1 Million Man. I don't know why, but then when I turned on TV one day, I see the actual $1 Million Man. I'm like, oh, that's the guy that's the toy from the commercial because he dressed the same. And ever since then, I never stopped watching it to this day. That's how it happened. And then I just got so enamored because it was like these larger than life individuals that they all had different personalities. They were athletic, they were strong, they just caught your eye, and it just created an environment. So it's just like, it's just action and just personalities, man. They stood out.
My pressure bad, my pressure mad, my pressure sick, I catch in a bad, my pressure bad, my pressure mad, my pressure sick, I catch in a bad.
Who is Emar Mitchell? I was born in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, to two Trinidadian parents. I grew up in NDG. Growing up was interesting because at that, they're from Trinidad. At that time, the fetting, the community, house parties. Grew up in NDG most of my life, all of my life for the most part. I went to an elementary school, and the cool thing about my elementary school is that it was very multicultural. There wasn't one predominant race. You didn't feel out of place, kind of thing, right? They did it like. There was, everybody grew up in this like truly this melting pot. So as a result, I made a lot of friends from a lot of different backgrounds. I said, the ink makes your hands itch kind of thing, so it's good to wear gloves. Plus they look cool, so it's a win-win. My dad would take me wherever he went, did whatever whatever he had to do. I think the nice part is that my parents included me in everything. When my dad started Community Contact, it was in June of 1992. He was working for another newspaper, I think it was called Afrocan. And I guess he figured, I could do this. He was writing articles and stuff like that. And he was very much into journalism. So he decided to start a newspaper on his own. He was laughed at. He was like, it's sad because it's like he was told by his own people, oh, black people don't read. It's like, what? And he said, it's not gonna last long. And he did get support at first. It's much like the stereotypical story of anybody just trying to accomplish something on their own. And then he went and he spoke to a guy that he did some work for, because he used to do some construction renovation work on the side. A gentleman, he passed on, but his name is Larry Wexler. And Larry Wexler, and it was like one of those joking situations. He told Larry, he's like, Larry, I want to start my own newspaper. And Larry's like, come on, stop. And he's like, no, seriously. Nice Jewish guy. And he's like, okay, you know what? I will give you the money to start the newspaper, and I'll take a year's. That's how he got the help to start. And then he didn't look back. He went forward, and he featured many people in the first issue. I know one that comes to mind is the Grant brothers for boxing. He was in the first issue, and he did it was, sorry.
Did it ever get to a point where you did the delivery and you figured out that the final product wasn't good?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh. And it's usually a loved one. Sometimes you don't know this at first, right? But then a loved one would call her my dad. My dad would look at it as like, "You jackass, you spelled la 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 wrong, huh? You spelled I'm like, what are you talking about?" I forgot what it was. There was an ongoing joke about it, but it was just, when you see that mistake, it's just like, you're like, you gotta deliver it, and you just kind of pray that nobody notices. But you know, what are you gonna do?
Come here, shorty. I like you. Oh, you like me too? I don't understand what you're saying. Let me talk to you. I got my eyes on you. Baby, let me tell you that you are the truth. I love your Indian blues. Oh, da-da-do, da-da-do, da-do. Sing it to me. Sing it to me. Sing it to me. But I can't understand a word you're saying.
Well, it starts with who are we going to feature in this issue? So we basically would like to have three main stories. And once we come up with the three, we would have a discussion and say, hey, how would this person work? How would this person work? Would people like to know about this person and their relevancy within it? And from that point on, it's like, all right, give it to the writer, give it to certain people to do the interviews and to write on it. And I just make sure the ads, and we try to get also new ads because we need to get paid. Make sure all the ads are in place and set up, so where I could set it up. And once the stories are done, once those stories are done, we're pretty much good to go, because we have our regular writers that say their little piece based on whatever their shtick is, and you just combine that, because it comes in late all the time. No matter how hard you try, you know how to try to do a deadline. Yeah, right. You try to say the deadline, and it's like Thursday night at 8 o'clock, people are still sending things in, so whatever. My dad is Egbert Gay. He's the founder of Community Contact. He's an editor and a journalist. His accomplishments, we don't have time to get into that. But he did, he's well known for being on the Gang of Four on CJAD. He's the only Caribbean-born person that was on the radio, AM radio at that time for quite a while, dare I say. Forgive me if it's not, if there's somebody else, but he came from nothing. He came from a little place in Trinidad called the Settlement, and it was only one room with him and his two brothers and his mom, and they came from nothing. I remember going back to Trinidad and to see where the house was, because when they moved, they basically picked up the house and moved. That was basically the way they lived. And to see where he come to Canada, a French place, and not still to this day. At that time, he did it. I don't know how he navigated through speaking French, because he was terrible at speaking French. I remember one time he went to court for a traffic ticket, and it was like he was the last case, and the judge was tired and all that stuff, and he goes in there trying to speak French, and the judge is like, no, please, just speak English. She's like, no, but I want to speak French. He's like, no, please, speak English. It's okay. You can speak English, I'll understand. He's like, you know what? Forget it. Never mind. It's okay. Forget it. So yeah, that was my dad. My dad was, no one could tell a story like my dad. And I think that's what made him a very good journalist, is that my dad could tell, get into little details that people won't think of and stuff like that. You could tell a little story and big up certain things that people wouldn't think of it about that. So he was an amazing guy. People think that, like, now that I'm running the newspaper, I just took it from my dad and went with it. But the truth is, like, when I started working with my dad, I saw that he needed help. So I went to school, learned the graphic design stuff. When I graduated, came to the office, helped him make the paper that was running monthly, bi-weekly, and stuck with him through all the tough times of late nights and the printing, trying to, because in those days to print was nightmarish, because if you see a mistake, you have to redo everything over again. You have to print things all over again, right? So it was like, I stuck with, you're not gonna leave your dad in the office like at 10 o'clock in the night, right? You stuck with him to the end. Even when you were at home, he would call me and say, oh, let's go to the printer. We had to drive the paper to the printer. And sometimes that would be in a snowstorm, midnight or whatever. And in the morning, then we have to drive to back to the place to load up the car. And we didn't have a big van, we had a little car. So the back seat would be all piled up and all that stuff. So, I went through the trenches with him because he was my dad. And again, we did everything together. We are similar in a way that we like to, I was told I could tell a story, but not as good as my dad, just in my own different way. He's more, sometimes he could see things from a different perspective. I'm more conservative. I see things from a different perspective, but it's more of a conservative side. He's more understanding than I am. Sometimes I could be, but sometimes it's basically black and white, and a spade is a spade. So, I think my dad has more of a broader view of the world than I do at times. We'll see. It's always something. And now that I'm a dad, I have to be home to put my kid to bed. So I have to read him a story. I have to do the whole bedtime routine. So that plays a big factor as well. And as much as I want to be there for the community, I'm a dad first. That's, that's pretty much it. I do enjoy it. It could be frustrating at times, because, you don't really get the certain support you're looking for that you thought you would get, right? But there are people that really are behind you, and you can't forget about those people. So, but like my dad said, it's a thankless job. I knew that. I saw it then, and I see it now, and I'm not looking for a thank you. I'm not looking for sympathy either. I'm looking for support. That's it. I would like to get to a broader platform. And the only, I wish I could continue doing what I'm doing, but maybe to some degree, newspaper, with social media, with the digital age, I know to some degree, probably I'm not gonna be able to continue the physical newspaper for too long. I will try to do it as much till the wheels fall off, but I know that I have to find a way to make community contact a brand and make it within, a media platform, but in a different way. I really enjoy the process of it. I really enjoy meeting the people. I enjoy being creative because I'm a graphic designer. And it gives me a chance to, I try to be, I'm an artist in that sense that I like to create things, trying to make the paper look a certain way, and then maybe a couple of years from now redesign it and all that kind of stuff. We try to make the newspaper a little bit of everything to where people want to see what's going on. And we're not sticking to different things. We're trying to be broad and let people say, okay, if you want to know what's going on this weekend and this party or this and that, we try to let you know as much as we can. If we get the story, we try to bring that to you. It's good to always have a relationship with your audience as much as possible without, you can't sell out and say, okay, well, even if we get to a bigger, broader platform, we're not gonna, if somebody calls, a community guy calls, oh, I'm having this church event or whatever, fundraiser, we're like, oh, we don't do those no more. No. It's not the same, obviously, without my father. I mean, the process with my dad was so fun because we've been in the office joking around, and you never know who's gonna walk through that door. And he passed 4 days before my son was born. So if he didn't pass, they wouldn't have known anything was wrong with my wife, and I could have lost my son. I would have lost my son. So God works in mysterious ways, and I don't question him. And do I wish my dad would have saw him? Yes, of course, but that's just the way life goes. I think he wanted to accomplish more in terms of getting community contact, a bigger platform. But I think for the most part, he lived a pretty good life from where he started to where he ended up. I wish he lived to see his grandson, but honestly, his legacy will be somebody, a man of the community, a loving, caring dad, father, man of the community. He cared for everybody. He cared almost too much. One of the coolest things that ever happened is when we were asked to travel with the Canadian government to go to we were traveling with the Canadian government and the Jamaican government to go cover this press conference in Toronto. So we were with the Prime Minister on Air Force One. So we had to drive to Ottawa, go in this private hangar, and the security, Canadian Secret Service or whatever met us, took us on the plane. And at that time, I had a really crappy iPhone, so I couldn't, and you weren't allowed to take photos, but I just managed to sneak a photo of me and my dad. I'm like, and when I see this big Air Force One jet airplane, I'm like, wow, we did something, my dad did something right here. It's like, we're traveling with the Prime Minister. We're the only press from our community, I would say, to ever do that. Life lessons from my dad. My dad, like I said, my dad included me in everything. So it was like, I try to do the same with my son. The father I want to be involved in my son's life as much as possible without intruding. So I start him from young. We go for walks. I take him for walks almost every weekend. We hang out together, we play together, try to create a vibe together, to know that I'm there for him, and he could tell me anything. There's no secrets, no, because that's the way my dad was with me. A very casual approach to it. It's just like, okay, you know, and if I was in the wrong, he'd tell me I'm in the wrong, and this is why you're in the wrong, you know, and it would be like a jokey thing. He's like, don't be a jackass, don't do that, you know, you don't want to do that, come on now. You know what I mean? And I want to be like that, like serious, but not, you know, just let him know, like, you know, your dad has your best interests at heart, and he's not trying to persuade you to do anything that's bad for you, you know, because he actually genuinely cares. And that was the way my dad was with me, and I would like to be that with him.